The United States spends more on infrastructure than almost any nation, but not every dollar is well spent. These billion-dollar projects promised greatness, but delivered disappointment. Tonight, we're not talking about small mistakes. We're talking about monumental taxpayer-fleecing catastrophes. These were supposed to be our pyramids, our coliseums, monuments to progress. Instead, they became symbols of bureaucratic incompetence and political vanity. We'll look at a high-speed train to nowhere, a tunnel that nearly bankrupted a city, a people mover that moves almost no one, and a multi-billion-dollar hole in the ground nobody wants. This is a masterclass in failure, hilarious, if it weren't so depressing. These projects are more than wasted funds. They're physical proof of a system that values ribbon cutting over results. So let's dive into America's most useless and expensive mega projects. California, the land of sunshine, Hollywood, and a high-speed rail project that's become a national punchline. In 2008, voters approved a $33 billion bullet train from LA to San Francisco, a green solution to gridlock. But costs soared, roots twisted through political districts, and land battles dragged on. Construction started in the Central Valley, connecting Bakersfield to Merced, nowhere near LA or San Francisco. The dream became a cautionary tale of mismanagement and political compromise. The tracks are a railway to nowhere, a silent monument to a future that never arrived. Sometimes the most expensive journey is the one that never leaves the station. Boston's Big Dig, officially the Central Artery Tunnel Project, set out to bury a congested highway beneath downtown. The plan, $2.8 billion, done by 1998. But it finished in 2007, costing $24.3 billion. Engineering marvel? Yes. Fiscal disaster? Absolutely. Mismanagement, leaks, and tragedy followed. The debt will haunt Massachusetts for decades, draining funds from schools and healthcare. Boston got its tunnels but nearly bankrupted itself. The Big Dig is a warning. Ambition without oversight is a recipe for disaster. Sometimes the cost of progress is simply too high. Next stop, Detroit, and the infamous People Mover. On paper, it was a futuristic, automated light rail loop to revitalize downtown. Opened in 1987, it was meant to connect attractions and spark development, but Detroit's population was already shrinking, and the downtown it was built for never materialized. The People Mover was designed for tens of thousands of daily riders. In reality, it averages around 5,000, mostly tourists or event-goers. The sleek cars often circle the city nearly empty, a moving monument to a future that never arrived. It costs $12 million a year to operate, with fares covering only a fraction. The project was driven more by available federal funds than actual local demand. It's a solution in search of a problem, a transit system for a party that ended before it began. For Detroiters, it's a quirky oddity, more punchline than outrage. The real failure wasn't corruption or engineering, it was vision. The People Mover is a closed loop, disconnected from the city's real transit needs. If you don't live or work downtown, it's useless. It's a 2.9-mile circle of what if. Attempts to make it relevant continue, but its fundamental flaw remains. It's a novelty, not a network. The Q-Line streetcar now offers a more practical connection, but the People Mover keeps looping, unchanged. It's a financial drain, a lesson that infrastructure must serve real needs, not just look impressive. You can build the most advanced system, but if it doesn't go where people need, it's just an expensive ride to nowhere. The People Mover is the saddest of our mega projects, not born of greed, but misplaced hope. It's a ghost of a future Detroit never got. Today it circles endlessly, a reminder that you can't fix deep problems with a shiny monorail. The People Mover, a loop of lost opportunity. Sometimes the biggest waste is building for a dream that never comes true. Detroit's lesson: build for reality, not just for hope. Otherwise you're just going in circles. Our final stop, Yucca Mountain, Nevada, a multi-billion-dollar tomb that's never been used. The problem? What to do with America's high-level nuclear waste. Nuclear plants produce waste that stays radioactive for millennia, stored temporarily at sites nationwide. The solution? A deep geological repository, isolated for thousands of years. In 1987, Congress picked Yucca Mountain for this purpose. Billions were spent on studies, tunnels, and tests. $19 billion just to prepare the site. A special fund collected over $40 billion from nuclear utility customers. But Yucca Mountain remains empty. Why? Politics. Nevada fought the project from day one, arguing it was unfair and unsafe. Concerns about earthquakes, groundwater, and transporting waste fueled fierce opposition. Senator Harry Reid made stopping Yucca Mountain his mission, and with President Obama's support, funding was killed in 2010. The tunnels are mothballed, the research facility abandoned, and the problem unsolved. Today, nuclear waste still sits at power plants in 35 states, with no permanent solution in sight. The science mostly said Yucca was viable, but politics won. The lesson: you can't impose a solution on a community that doesn't want it, no matter how technically sound. Yucca Mountain is a $19 billion hole in the desert, and a radioactive problem left for the next generation. It's a monument to political gridlock and failed policy. The waste fund grows, but so does the risk. America's nuclear waste problem is still waiting for an answer. Yucca Mountain, proof that money and science can overcome political will. Sometimes the hardest thing to bury is a bad idea, the costliest hole in history, and the problem is still above ground. The legacy: billions spent, nothing solved. The future? Still uncertain, still radioactive. Yucca Mountain, a warning that some problems can't be buried. So there you have it. A train to nowhere, a tunnel that nearly bankrupted a city, a people mover with no people, and a billion-dollar tomb that's still empty. These projects were born from grand ambitions but became cautionary tales of poor planning and political hubris. Throwing billions at a problem doesn't guarantee a solution, just a bigger bill. The common thread: a disconnect between vision and reality. These failures remind us, you can't just draw a line on a map, you have to navigate people, politics, and money. The debt from the Big Dig is still being paid. The tracks in California still go nowhere. The people mover still loops. The nuclear waste still waits. We must demand more from our leaders. Realistic plans, transparent budgets, and real accountability. The next mega project is always around the corner. If we don't learn from these failures, we'll pay for them again. Which of these shocked you most? Let us know in the comments. For more deep dives into expensive mistakes, like, share, and subscribe. Let's build smarter, not just bigger. Thanks for watching.